Hi, welcome back. I'm John Tabler, and today we're going to get into what this channel is really about: javelin throwing. Wrong, not javelin throwing. It's about horse riding. Not really that either, although I can ride a horse, but when I was young, I got rid of my horse and got a motorcycle because it wouldn't go under low-hanging trees and try to knock you off. I could kind of control where I was going. But this channel is about health and clean eating and just getting really healthy and making yourself feel better. And to do that, we use natural foods, and fermentation is one of the greatest things to help you get healthy. And so there's many fermented products that we do here, but today I'm going to go into wheat and grains because it's one of the very best. And I made some bread just recently with some flour that I bought at the store, and it was whole wheat, 100% ground whole wheat flour. But when I got done with that bread and I tasted it, it was actually really bitter and not very good tasting at all. And I tossed the whole thing. Now, hopefully that won't happen to you at home. You'll get a really fresh flour, but when you grind wheat berries, there's oils and perishable. It's actually perishable once it's ground. It's like taking an apple, and you've seen when you chop it up or crush an apple and make applesauce, if there's not preservatives in there, which are not good for you, it actually turns dark and oxidizes very quickly. The same is going to hold true for wheat berries. So what I have here is a little, that's a little bit too hard, but it shows you the weight of a wheat berry. And so I'm going to show you, this is actually 100% organic hard red winter wheat berries. And I get this from Central Milling because it is organic and you really don't want spray on it. Most all wheat is going to have some sort of spray because when they put it in storage, they put insecticides on it. The great thing about fermentation is it will wipe out those insecticides completely. There's something magical, supernatural in the process that actually wipes it out. It's in other videos of mine with the studies also in there, but just know that. But to have the very best bread, you want to grind your wheat fresh. And to do that, today I'm going to show you really what I do. I use what's called a Wondermill electric grain grinder, electric mill, and you can find those online. I went and bought one, ordered it, and it came, and I've used it for quite some time now. It's actually very simple to use. I'm going to reach across and plug it in. When you grind grain, they've also got hand grinders. I mean, you're going to be grinding a long time cranking with your arm. I've seen people hook them up to bicycles and make it a lot easier because it's quite some work. But if the power went out, it would be a great way to get grain. But I have power on at the moment, so I'm going to make it easy on myself. The thing you got to remember is you're getting the very best, freshest flour. Until you have bread eating the very freshest flour, you probably really haven't had bread, because I know what mine tasted like when I used the flour that I had bought at the store, and it has a date on it, but even so, it was just terrible compared to what I'm used to. So what I do on this grinder is, there's a setting for pastry flour, bread flour, coarse flour. You can experiment around with that in different ways. I set it right a little bit finer than bread flour, and you put it in the top of this grinder and it grinds the flour. And then what it does is it comes out of this chute right here, a hole right there, and into this little pipe, and goes right into this container. When I already have a little bit in there that I had done earlier, but it's that simple. And the taste of the flour is just incredible when you make bread. So I'm going to do this and show you exactly what happens. Here we go. Hold on. And you can see it sounds kind of like a vacuum. And You can take the lid off while it's going. It just very slowly pulls those wheat berries down and just kind of from the middle, goes down to the middle and hits the grinders, shoots it out into this container. There's a filter on top. You can see if I take that filter off, at the moment it's not coming out too bad, but we just wait for that to finish, and at the end the pitch of the grinder will go a little louder, and then you know it's time to shut it off and your flour is done. Now that's going to be way faster than what it would be if you crank, but you're going to have the very freshest flour that's possible. And then when you make your bread, it's going to be tremendous. You got to have your starter made already. So there's plenty of videos online, and I'll do some again about making your starter. I've got mine setting right there. I'm going to show you how easy it is to make this bread with a fresh starter already made. And there it is, a little louder. Shut that off. Cranks down just like it does when you're vacuuming, and then you shut the vacuum off. It's a motor just like that. So there we have all your fresh ground wheat berries. I'm going to set this now out of the way and show you just how quickly you can have your own bread. So you remember, I really don't measure. I just pour that into the bowl. I leave some extra because this starter that I already have prepared, I actually eat about 3 tablespoons full every morning and every evening with honey, because it's a living probiotic. It's one of the very best probiotics with the vitamins and nutrients that are in wheat, which are extensive. They've been the staple of human existence, of food for human existence. I mean, it's incredible. And you put a little honey with it, it's just kind of like, think of it like a lemonade when you add a little sweetener to lemon. What I'm going to do now is just add about 3 tablespoons full. You can do this before or after you make your dough ball. It doesn't really make any difference. This is the simplest process. I'm going to set that aside. This is the simplest process to make bread, making sourdough bread. And you've seen probably videos before online that really complicate it and make it seem like you could never ever do it. And let me tell you something, those videos, in my opinion, are completely off base. You're going to see right now how simple this is. Now, like I said, I really don't measure, but I've done this so many times that I do know this is actually a 4 cup. And for the size, this is only pertinent to what I dumped in there. I know about how much I used. But what you want to do is put a little water in there, just a little less than you might need. Take your spoon back and stir it. You can always add more water to it. If you don't add enough, you just add a little more. But if you add a little too much, you just add a little flour. It's really not going to matter. You can use as much as you want for bread and set the rest aside for pizza. You know, pan pizza. It's one of the most incredible things. Pan pizza can be made in about 5 minutes. You wouldn't believe how easy it is to make sourdough pan pizza. And I've done a video on that, so you can look for that, but I'll do another one coming up, because as time goes on, I figure out things that I like a little bit better and that taste a little better. But just remember, when you make the staple of your diet, no matter whether you make pizza, bread, or what you make with it, the dough, once it's fermented, just remember this substance with that starter in it unlocks the nutrients that are in the ground up grain, and it completely neutralizes the gluten. And the substance, the energy that's in fermentation, the fermented substance, completely will purify your body from heavy metals. It will purify your body from toxins. Those insecticides I talked about are completely wiped out. And in a previous video, I detailed that. It was about the supernatural healing aspects of fermentation and sourdough. And I detailed that and listed the studies, not only relative to viruses of all types, but also cancer and heavy metals and toxins in your body. So you want to eat this every day. This is really what's going to do the magic on your health. And there you go. I'm done making bread. You just want to put a little bit more on there. It's just kind of like playing with Play-Doh when you're a kid. And you make that Play-Doh ball, and then you're done. So then what we do, very quickly, take a bowl. I've started using these plastic bowls, and this kit called a kitchen flour towel or something to that effect. If you put that on a search, they'll come up. Makes it really easy. Coat it with some flour and put that dough ball in there and put a little on top and put that towel over the top. And I've really found that now you can do it like that, but the top can tend to get a little dry. So I take another one and set over the top. All other videos aside, this is sourdough bread. I just made it from grinding it to getting it ready. Tomorrow, it doesn't really matter after 8, 12, 15 hours. Whenever you come back, it's going to have fermented because of that magical starter that I put in it. It's going to jumpstart that dough and ferment it 10 times faster than what this originally took to make. Once you have this starter made, it speeds the process up in the new flour by multiples of times. And so that's what actually happens. It turns the dough, it actually makes kind of a starter out of the dough itself, but in a fraction of the time. So I'll come back tomorrow and I'll heat that oven to 500, put it in my Dutch oven, which is essentially like a pot with a lid, keeps some moisture in there. I like to use one. You don't have to have one, but that's what I use. I'll put it in there and bake it for about 30 minutes, take it out, and you've got the best bread you ever had in your life. I'm telling you, give it a shot. And if you really, if you can, get a grinder. You're going to see the difference. It's amazing. The grinder it's incredible to have that fresh of ground wheat. And you can see what the big deal's been about for all of time with this thing called bread. And you know, bread's become unhealthy. Take a look at the ingredients on the side of a loaf of bread at the store and look how many ingredients are in there, and then count how many ingredients are in this. We've got non-chlorinated water, which you have to use. You must use non-chlorinated water. Purified water is spring water. But we've got water and ground wheat. The way God intended, the way that will heal and nourish your body. Give it a try. I'll see you in the next video, but you're going to love this. And I'll come back and actually make the bread and give you a chance to see that. But for now, it's got to sit. So, talk to you later.